hopefully no one's going to get in a gunfight. I've said it the last time I was here, don't go out of your way to get in a gunfight.
In fact, go out of your way to not get in one.
Go out, you've got a sixth sense, trust it, trust it. I have a book on it actually. Trust it, your sixth sense will tell you when there's trouble, get out of there. Don't, even if you got a gun in your pocket, which I do, you know, if I smell that, I am out of there. I do not walk into things.
This is Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance, and this is the Miles Franklin Weekly Special for August 7th through August 14th, 2023, while supplies last. This week we feature Silver Buffalo Rounds from Bulmint in Bulgaria at just $2.50 over spot. The Bulmint Buffalo is a new take on the Silver Buffalo, with unmatched 4/9 fine purity. Bulmint pride themselves on artistry and design, and produce a fine silver round with dueling buffalo on one side and a portrait of a Native American chief on the other. These 4/9 fine rounds come 20 to a tube and 400 to a Bulmint exclusive master box. They are available at just $2.50 over spot and are IRA eligible. If you'd like to learn more about a precious metals IRA, call us, and we'll be happy to help you in that process. To order our specials or any of the many other options we have available, call us at 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237. We're available after hours and on weekends, and we look forward to speaking with you.
Welcome back to Liberty and Finance. We're here at the Rule Investment Symposium in Boca Raton, Florida, but I caught up with Paul Helinski, the founder and former owner of GunsAmerica.com. Paul, thanks for coming back on Liberty and Finance.
Nice to be back, Dunnigan.
You've talked to us many times about affordable ways that people can stack storable food in their home at the best rock bottom prices. Folks, if you missed those interviews, go back and check them out. They're really amazing. Paul also talked to us about cooking on various types of outdoor, whether it's rocket stoves or different types of coal-fired cooking and that sort of thing. But one subject I wanted to circle back, because we touched on it long ago, but it's been a while, is home protection. And since you have your pedigree from having founded GunsAmerica.com, I certainly think you will have an opinion about this. I know you do. And hope that you can give us kind of like the most concise principles that you believe most people might not be thinking about if they turn to the typical sources that are available in their community to try to get prepared for home protection, and maybe some alternatives you want them to consider.
Okay, so the mistake that most people make with guns is that they take a course from someone who has a lot of firearm experience, like a CCW. A guy who's doing a CCW course, he shoots a lot. Like, he burns up a lot of ammo, he shoots a lot. He can pick up a gun, and like me, I can protect myself with a single action, an 1873 Colt single action Army, or even an 1860 Colt Army cap and ball revolver, just as well as a Glock. He's probably going to tell you to get a high capacity Glock, you know, or a Smith & Wesson M&P, or something like that. That is a plastic gun with a lot of bullets, and he's going to assume that you're going to carry it the way he carries it, or you're going to leave it in your home the way he leaves it in his home. And that probably will not be the case. Most likely, he has it very easily available in his home. He does not use a gun safe to keep his gun in, his active gun in. He keeps a bullet in the chamber so that you can pull the gun out and go bang, bang. He doesn't usually have a gun with a drop safety on it. Like, if you get a Smith & Wesson M&P, some of those people love and some of the Tauruses also, which are the cheaper guns, have a drop safety on the side. And the problem with all of those guns is that the way that a novice is going to carry them, because they don't like that trigger being so easy. You know, it's for a new shooter, it's really difficult to imagine that the gun, for one, the gun doesn't go off by itself, you know? So people are not cool with leaving around in the chamber. The way you get around that is by just buying a revolver. Police carried 38 revolvers in America up until at least up into World War II, and even up really until at least the Glock era. Glock did a very big police campaign where they had a very attractive armor program, and that's how Glock got into that police market. Our military was using a metal gun, like they took the Beretta for a while, and now they're on the SIG. Now they're finally on the plastic gun. But revolvers were a core part of self-defense. 38 revolvers, before 357 was even invented, revolvers were a huge part of home defense, self-defense, police defense, and they still work good today. And the nice thing about a revolver is it always goes bang. It usually is double action. There's two types of revolvers. There's a single action revolver, which is you have to pull back the hammer every time, like a Colt single action, which you're not interested in. But most revolvers have a hammer, especially one that you don't carry in your pocket. They have a hammer, and you could pull back the hammer and fire it single action, which means that when you pull back the hammer, it's a very easy trigger pull. Unfortunately, with an easy trick, with that, people are tempted to go click, click, hold it. And actually that leads to a lot of civil suits for people who shoot people by accident, who weren't legally allowed in their state to pull a gun on someone. So that's part of it but the gun itself, having just a 38 revolver, if you want a 357, great. Go to the range, practice with 38, then put a few 357s and experience the pain, okay? Because and if you have an alloy revolver, the Ruger is not terrible because it's got a plastic frame and it flexes a little bit. The Ruger flexes, and it's not as bad in 357. But some of those airweight Smith & Wessons are punishing. So shoot them with 38s. They're very, especially a nice big steel Smith & Wesson or a Taurus or something like that. I buy my friends Taurus, like I tell them to just go get a Taurus 357. They can shoot a few rounds of 357, but really the 38 is much more controllable. With a short barrel, you have much less of a muzzle flash to blind you in the dark. And you don't have the problem with a semi-automatic of someone walks into your house and click, click, and sometimes it's not even click, it's nothing, because if it's click, it means that the chamber was empty, you forgot to rack it. And if it's nothing, it means that there was a drop safety that you didn't pull. And it's hard enough to hit someone who you need to shoot, because they don't just stand there and let you shoot them. Even an experienced shooter aiming at a moving target is very, very difficult to hit. I can't hit a moving target. I don't shoot that often, and I'm a very natural with a gun, but I don't shoot that often anymore, and I don't, wouldn't comfortably shoot at a moving target. So you have to understand your limitations at 2 o'clock in the morning when you just heard the door open, and where your head's going to be. Are you going to use the hand scan safe, or are you going to just put your revolver in your sweater drawer? People say, well, I have a kid in the house. I'm not your advisor. Don't sue me. But if you never brag about your gun, never show your gun to your kid, never take them shooting with it, they don't even know there's a gun in the house, and it's in the bottom of your sweater drawer. Is that really a danger? With young kids, a double action revolver that is a hard trigger pull that first time, they can't even pull it back. It would take like a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old maybe to even be able to pull that back. So if you've been intimidated by these plastic guns and the black guns and all that stuff, a regular old 38 revolver, or if you need the 357, a 357 revolver is always going to be your best bet.
How about the number of firearms to have in the house ready for service at any point in time in different places, or is one in the master bedroom usually the main consideration for people?
That's all what you're comfortable with. But thank God with firearms, unless you're stupid enough to put all the toys on them, you're not relying on batteries that are going to go dead. So if you're comfortable with the safety aspect of it, and you have, you don't have grandkids over and, having guns. Well, where did I put those guns? It's I don't know, my brain Maybe it's the spray. I don't know. My brain doesn't work like it used to. So remembering where those things, I have a friend who puts things like that, and I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm going to remember that there's a gun in there. So that's really up to you. I personally think that, in most homes, keep your doors locked. It depends on where you live. That's outside of my purview.
That's fine. And in terms of stockpiling ammo or spare weapons or parts?
Spare parts, guns don't, maybe, I don't know, depending on, Tauruses were not made to shoot a lot. So if you're gonna buy a Taurus, don't shoot it a lot. Otherwise, they're very good these days. The quality control is much better. And I wouldn't rely on their semi-autos as much as their revolvers. But they are the cheap, they're the cheap one in the pile. So I don't parts, like what's gonna break, like I can tell you what breaks in a cap and ball pistol, but what's gonna break in a modern revolver with springs and all that, I don't know. Ammo, SG Ammo is the best place to buy bulk ammo. They're very, very good. You don't need to go to these ammo aggregation sites. SG Ammo is great if you just want 1,000 rounds of 223 or something. And yeah, should you have an AR? Yeah, you should, A 12 gauge shotgun with it's not even a semi-auto, like a fixed breech 12 gauge shotgun for most people. I took my rabbi, shooting, and someone had told him he's got to have a 12 gauge shotgun, and I said, oh, okay, Rabbi. This guy is at least 6'2", big guy, and I said, okay, try the 12 gauge, lean into it, because it's going to be more than you expect. Boom, his glasses fall off, and like, okay, let's move on. Then he tried the 38 and he was happy. The reality is that an AR is a very light shooting. They rip stuff up. I have shot through body armor. Just one shot burns right through steel AR-500. It is a nasty round, not at distance, but if it's at distance, run the other way. Like I already went through this on this channel.
Yeah.
Don't go looking for a gunfight. Get out of there. But other than that, yeah, you should also own an AR. They're $500 right now. Go to a gun show and buy one for $500.
The principle of get out of there, the idea of avoid a lethal confrontation if at all possible. Put distance and barriers between you and an assailant. But if you're inside your own dwelling at night and someone's breaking in, there's this thing about not having a duty to retreat from your own dwelling. That if you feel you and yourself or your family are at a mortal risk, or serious risk, it's pretty tough. One of the things that you've talked about, and I think just briefly here, is how middle of the night, you're groggy, you're not thinking straight, that you got to keep things really simple for yourself, because you're not going to be thinking clearly, especially if the adrenaline is up there. So
that's it. You get tunnel vision. People don't understand that you're not you. When you're in a threat situation, you get something called tunnel vision. And unless you're that's why these guys train. You have to understand that's why they train. Is because when you have tunnel vision, you rely on muscle memory and instincts that you've built by training. But if you're not going to train, you're going to have tunnel vision. You're not going to see or hear anything but that threat right in front of you. You have to keep things as simple, painfully simple as possible. And yeah, most states have castle doctrine. You don't have to run. If you don't kill the guy, you're going to get sued. So take that for what it's worth. Most of the experienced people, like I had at Guns America, I had some very experienced people writing for me over the years. I had a guy who trains FBI. I had a guy who trains police and military snipers. Their advice would be, when you're out of bullets, that's when you're done. Make sure that the guy's done. Because honestly, stopping power is a myth. That guy, I forget his name now, Jim something. He did some very nice material for us early on about stopping power. Stopping power doesn't exist with a handgun. There's no such thing as a powerful handgun. It's not going to stop most assailants. The round that kills more people than anything else is, believe it or not, a .22 rimfire, because eventually they die. Yeah, eventually the guy might die, but that pistol is not going to stop them. And therefore, you need to understand that it's your job to, unless you hit the central nervous system and shut the person down, they're going to keep coming. So you don't this is not the movies. You don't just shoot once. You have to make sure that the threat is no longer a problem. And it's difficult to say this stuff on YouTube. You know, I hope maybe it'll just go on Rumble. I have a history of just going on Rumble, but maybe we'll make YouTube. It's a difficult thing.
Yeah, that's the same guidance we were given at the CCW class that my wife and I attended, and there's reasons for it. There's also, I know there's legal support organizations available. You can join ahead of time to make sure that somebody's got your back if something goes sideways. So anyway.
Yeah, hopefully no one's going to get in a gunfight. I've said it the last time I was here, don't go out of your way to get in a gunfight.
In fact, go out of your way to not get in one.
Go out, you've got a sixth sense. Trust it. Trust it. I have a book on it, actually. Trust it. Your sixth sense will tell you when there's trouble. Get out of there. Don't, even if you got a gun in your pocket, which I do. You know, if I smell that, I am out of there. I do not walk into things.
Well, there's a lot to learn. Any particular resources you already mentioned, like a site for ammo, but as far as any learning or other places that people can kind of pick up on some of the philosophies that you found valuable along the way?
Honestly, the more you cloud up your mind with things, the more advisors you have, the more your decision-making turns into a committee. That's what the problem is that people feel like they need a lot of information. I had this with the prepping stuff. That's why I'm not going and doing a prepping book. I'm actually doing a Raspberry Pi book now as my new project, because I don't want to do a prepping book, because there's just, the noise floor is so immense out there that people just don't take action, because they just take the poll and they have the committee of the mind. Go get a revolver, put it in your sweater drawer. You know, you don't need to practice with it. They're pretty simple. You know, just do it and don't go take the poll. Believe in yourself, believe in simple choices.
That's a lot of where our ancestors came from, and a lot of common sense has kind of fallen by the wayside in this culture where we think that we're never the expert about whatever, but using common sense is a very good idea, and avoiding confrontations wherever possible is also a good idea. So Paul Helinski, former head of and founder of GunsAmerica.com, thanks for joining us again on Liberty and Finance.
Anytime, Billy.
Miles Franklin Precious Metals is one of America's oldest and most trusted bullion dealers. Miles Franklin is A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, licensed and bonded, and has 0 complaints ever registered. Here at Liberty and Finance, we are licensed brokers with Miles Franklin. To order, simply call us, discuss your needs, and we can let you know our live inventory, prices, and availability, and lock in your order over the phone. Once your order is locked, the price is held for you regardless of market fluctuations, and the metals are reserved for you awaiting your settled payment. Within 1 business day of ordering, you will receive an email invoice detailing the order and payment instructions. Miles Franklin accepts payments by bank wire, ACH or electronic check, money order, check mailed priority mail, and cryptocurrency. The fastest forms of payment are bank wire and cryptocurrency. Upon settled payment, metals will ship out within 3 to 5 business days. You will receive tracking information via email. Domestic shipping charges are $15 for any order under 500 ounces of silver or 10 ounces of gold. For orders larger than that, domestic shipping is free. The package will be boxed, fully insured, and labeled discreetly, with no indication of the contents inside. For your privacy, the name Miles Franklin will not even be on the package. To talk to myself, Kaiser, my brother Elijah, or my father Dunnigan, call 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237.